Hi, I'm Joyce Cooling, and my connection to mental health is through my brother, who was diagnosed with schizophrenia maybe 45 years ago. And back then, the stigma surrounding mental health and mental illness was huge. And we've come a long way, thank goodness, but there's a lot more to do. But for now, I have something really cool to share with you. Athena Pappas, a wonderful yoga instructor in the Iyengar tradition, is here with us today. Athena has been very candid about her own personal struggles with depression and anxiety, and has developed a series of simple movements and yoga postures that anyone can do. This is not meant to replace medical care. It's just a way to develop a few simple tools to help bring about peace of mind and emotional well-being. I hope this helps. Thank you. So Athena, thank you so very much for doing this with us. I'm thrilled you're here. And my first question is, how did yoga come into your life? Were you searching for something? Did it come in by chance? What prompted you to get into yoga?
So as a young girl, from early age, I struggled with not feeling right. And I had a sort of an intuitive knowledge of doing certain postures like handstands and chest openers, that I had a sense of those things creating space and freedom. And then, you know, as I got older through my teens, started to struggle more with not feeling right, feeling a lot of despair. When I was 18 and was very interested in, you know, Eastern traditions, spiritual practices to feel better in my own skin. I really wanted to feel better.
So Athena, what were some of your symptoms? What did you go through?
Well, in my early years, like young girl, you know, preteen, I think I just didn't feel right. I just had a sense of things not being right. And I remember even like saying that to my mom, like things aren't right, and she couldn't understand that at all. And then when I, you know, became a teenager, I felt a lot of despair. I felt a lot of sadness. I would cry a lot. And as I started to move off to college, and then I really started having just these deep feelings of despair and something's wrong, and just really not having a lot of energy for daily life.
If this isn't appropriate for me to ask and you don't want to get into this, just we'll skip it. But did you ever have any suicidal tendencies or thoughts?
I did. Starting early in my teenage years, I did have feelings of wanting to harm myself, to end my life. You know, it's a difficult thing to talk about, but I do think there is such a stigma around it. I think people need to know that they're not alone. If they're having those kinds of thoughts, they're not alone. And it's hard, and it's good to talk to friends if you can. And now just sit quietly and observe your breath. And you may in fact notice just after that few minutes of sitting quietly that you feel a little more calm. And it's important to notice the effects of these things, because then we can sort of train our minds to go toward, to seek those effects. What we're saying to the mind is like, okay, mind, don't be going down that rabbit hole of depression or anxiety or worry. Mind, focus here on the breath, the body, and the movement. So it's a very simple way of just basically shifting from one state to another. And even if you can do that for just a minute or two, it makes a difference. Gentle arm work, bringing the arms up, bringing the arms back, some gentle turning. All of this helps to release tension that might accumulate as a result of feeling a lot of anxiety or feeling a very inert sort of shape. So we start to affect the outer aspect of our being through these yoga postures, these physical postures, and that in turn starts to affect the mind. And slowly over time, through practice, we can actually begin to shift those neural pathways. Inhale, lift the arms up. Now, if it doesn't bother your neck to do so, you can lift your chest a little more, lift your chin, and look up and open the eyes wide. And then lower the arms down. So just a simple, easy roll. And you can see I'm holding it between my thumb and index finger. And if you can do it, you can spread all the fingers, because when you spread your fingers, there's a direct connection to what your hands are doing, to the nerves feed right up into your neck. Inhale, look up, exhale, come down. So lifting the arms up lifts the center chest, which I was describing earlier. It opens the side chest. And these are areas where when we come into this shift, this physical state, that depression is invited. And when we open up, we create light, physical light and inner light. And also when we're tense, we feel sort of more anxiety. We tend to bunch up our neck, shoulders. There's this kind of tightness. And these gentle movements of lifting and lowering can be helpful. So the first part of the movement is to lift up, and then the exhale, I reach down toward my feet. Now you don't want to go super fast, but you definitely want to have movement, because movement can diffuse that anxiety that sometimes can accumulate. Come up on your toes. And you don't have to do it for long, but just for a second, balance helps to focus the mind. Because when we're trying to balance, it's really hard to be in a worried mind or a depressive mind or a mind that's feeling overwhelmed. So those moments, a second of balance, can help to quiet the mind. In that linking of body, breath, and mind, we can begin to move inward and be less caught with the struggles of life, whether it's anxious or depression or worry or just that feeling of dread. When we can start to kind of connect the body and the mind, and the breath is sort of the link between the outside and the inside. And it's just a really basic way of focusing the mind as well. So with depression, so important to open the chest, because so much of our sort of this shape, just when you look at somebody sitting in this kind of a shape, which is often a very depressive state, you can't really breathe, your head is down, your eyes are low. But when we can start to invite a different kind of physicality from the outer aspect of our being, we can affect the inner aspect. So when I create a certain structure in my outer body, it has a direct effect on the inner body. So with my hands, I'm pushing the floor away. I'm creating a little bit of a kind of a buoyancy in the chest. My neck is supported. And the big thing here is my chest is open. That roll is between my shoulder blades, and it's creating a little bit of opening. The head is a little bit back. Having the head back in this way is definitely recommended if you can tolerate it, because this is good for depression, because it's opening the throat. And I won't go too much into this, but having to do with thyroid, parathyroid, some of the glands that affect our emotions. If you're in a depressive state, you want to open the eyes wide, almost like someone were gently holding the outer corners of your eyes. If you're feeling a little more agitation, you could keep the eyes a little more downcast. I know for myself, if I'm crying, it's very difficult to close the eyes. You may want to have them open. And it's okay. You know, if you're crying and you're going through this stuff, it's okay. Sometimes doing postures can actually bring emotion up, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. One of the key things about yoga is change. And sometimes change, we don't want change. But the really important thing about change is it means that things won't always be the same. It means that if you're feeling really bad right now, that you won't always feel really bad. You might be feeling very depressed, but it's not always going to be this way. It might not be great, but it'll get better. Namaste.